Hello, this is Signal and Insights, the podcast. I am Gabriel Velez, CEO of Crowd Answers. This is the show where we sit down with the people shaping how businesses grow, sell, and make smarter decisions. My guest today spent nearly 23 years in data and marketing at places like MLB, NBA.com, and WWE, then went and built a behavioral intelligence system from scratch. 18 months by hand, 52,000 decision track before automating the whole thing into DARG, DARG. His argument, most brands don't have that data problem, they have a mapping problem. Darnel Moore, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks again, Gabriel, for having me and great intro and very excited to talk. I love this subject, so really excited to talk about it.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, with some guests, we don't go directly to the meat. But I think you have a very good background that I would like to explore a little bit. So maybe you can tell your origin story and your background, because you were basically the guy turning data into decisions, right? At MLB and NBA and WWE, and then you go and build distinct LI from scratch. So what were you seeing inside those rooms that made you say, okay, I need to go solve this in a different way?
So I always had the privilege inside of these very large organizations led by really great people and really amazing teams to take on a problem that was either a new problem and had total green pasture to explore and understand, or it was a major problem that was affecting the organization in real time and it needed to be reshifted immediately because either it was losing customers or not making the revenue expectations or any of those things. So when those two things come together, that's a lot of pressure, right? And usually you're going to find the answer no matter what the organization is. You're going to find the answer in the mapping of the insights, the results to actual people. In the startup world, it's always called your ICP, your ideal client profile, right? What's your ICP? What's your ICP? In these worlds, in these instances, I was in essence an entrepreneur inside of these businesses charged with figuring out ways to map product to people, because that's actual real marketing, and that's been tried and true for 20 plus years. When you marry your marketing and your merchandising, whatever you're merchandising is when you win. And the way that you marry the marketing and the merchandising is you marry what you're selling, what you're profit to people. And it started at Major League Baseball and changing the way that we were we were acquiring customers and we were talking to customers, to then at the National Basketball Association being able to put that at the forefront, being able to really understand consumers and putting consumers first, and then letting the information be the trailer for that. At the WWE, it was making sure that it was already understanding that people were first, and it was making sure that the information and the analytics led to insights that confirmed what was going on and what was being marketed and what was being communicated to people. And I was finding that there was a consistent pattern. And that pattern was that there was a gap between information and results. And that data to decision gap is usually filled by two things: smarter research, smarter marketing, and people. And I've been doing it my entire career. I didn't realize at the time that those things are called market research and competitive intelligence and paid search and affiliate marketing and online merchandising and data science and all of these really fancy highfalutin terms, really coming down to bridges between getting to understand people from understanding your data, which leads to a better decision. And if you really keep that triangle of data, people, and decisions, that triangle works. That triangle worked in 2000. That triangle still works in 2026, whether you're a Fortune 50 company or you are a startup going to market.
That's amazing. And yeah, I totally resonate with you. Sometimes in our industry and in the marketing industry, we fill out our mouth with nice terms, but at the end, everything compresses around real understanding. And I love the way that you frame these three elements working together in a very com, like a cohesive way. So I like it. Um, so you said most brands don't have a data problem. Basically, they have a mapping problem. They measure everything and explain nothing. Right? So what does that actually look like from the inside?
Yeah. So everybody has data, whether you have one Excel spreadsheet or you have an entire data center that is in another country. You have, so you don't, the problem isn't data. The problem isn't the information. The problem is, what am I looking for out of the result? And I think that the word insight has shifted so much over time. Insight used to be, oh, wow, that's a really good nugget of information that I learned from this data set. Now insights are, well, how is it? Is it a roadmap? Is it driving me towards a better action in my programmatic advertising on Amazon versus Best Buy versus Target versus Google AdWords? And the answer is it's none of those things. The mappings are great because the mappings lead to how you execute. However, if you take that thesis, you're still missing people. How are you mapping to people? And the question becomes for organizations, are you taking people into consideration at the beginning, or are you taking consideration to people at the end? A lot of companies, and this isn't an indictment. A lot of companies are taking into account people after they make a purchase, after they vote on them as a candidate, after they sign up for an email, after they like a tweet, right? It's after the fact. People are not taking enough time to understand people. I usually say, Gabriel, around the same way that dating is now. Dating is people have become more socially awkward for whatever reason, and we're not here to go fall down the rabbit hole on that. But people are becoming more socially awkward. So now you insert these things that allow you to make decisions on people very quickly. So that's fine, but then that becomes a mindset, just like for businesses. However, where's the piece of who is it that I want to date? Who is it that I want to buy my thing? Who is it that I want to sign up for email? And a lot of people don't take that into consideration because I think, frankly, there is a stain on market research. I think there's a stain on surveys. I think, and I think it's the worst thing that happened. But again, I think to give a final answer, Gabriel, the mapping issue comes down to authentic human responses. And everyone is shortcutting authentic human responses with all of this really fancy machinery, a lot of machine learning on information and data, not people.
That's great. Yeah, I resonate with that you said because I have been working market research most of my career, and I have seen the advantages and also the disadvantages on the surveys and the importance of having consumers sit in front of you and having these real conversations. But let me push a little here. Accepted looks maybe 18 engagements and basically say the sample is too small, right? How do you defend the rigor if we have these small samples?
I think I think once is an accident, twice is a trend, three times is a signal. And I've always lived by that in my career. So I have told people that an acceptable mathematical end sample and end number for me, is five things. If you go on that pattern, right? Once is an accident, twice is a trend, three times is a signal, the fourth time is noise, and the fifth time is your thesis. So if you have five instances of something, you're now able to understand. The human brain has five different dimensions on how we make decisions. If we apply that to our data set, Gabriel, and this is a very good push, then you need five instances of a thing. Ultimately, look, we are both market research professionals. It's our core competency. Yes, 250 people give us a really nice resonance in a data set. It cures for signals and noise, etc. Right, Gabriel, to all of our expertise. However, I do understand that you only need five people. You only need five people or five instances of something happening to understand it for the reasons that I outlined. And again, I don't want to overtalk it because it's a great push. I think that the way that you defend it is to be able to look at these five instances or these three instances at the same level and dimension that people think about making a decision. And so it comes down to the audience. If the audience is convinced that they need 100 people in order to make a decision, then you're never going to be able to answer that fairly. However, what you can feel comfortable in saying is you don't need 100 people to make a decision, because if 100 people have made the same bad decision, then all you're about to be is the 101st person making the 101st bad decision. So you don't need 100 people to understand a decision pattern. You only need five at best.
Yeah, right. I mean, I agree with you. I think it has to be also with the kind of questions and framing the question with clarity among the group. In some cases, you don't need a bigger sample, right? I mean, if the universe is very homogeneous, with water, for example, just a drop will be enough, right? It's different when you're taking some kind of soup and then you need to mix this element and this other, and then basically the sample become a little bit more complicated. But if you isolate all the elements, I am with you 100%. So
And
that's
think about it, Gabriel. Here's something that's very interesting, and I've used this in defense before. So a doctor or a research lab will literally only have one sample of something in an oncology study. They may only have one instance. They find a pattern that looks like something from before, and they're like, "Oh, we've broken through." So if the same instances apply to disease, why don't they apply to humans? And that's what I've said in the past also, Gabriel, just to champion your point you just made.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Sometimes we like to overcomplicate things. This is also human nature as well.
Well
So
said.
yeah, let's talk about, the behavioral twins. So by God, Arizona, Vancouver, Washington, 1,000 mile apart, and same decision DNAs, right? So how those actually change what a brand does on Monday morning?
Um, it's a great question. The reason why it does is because we have taken the thesis and the design, product design and utility of people don't think in people don't think in geographies. People are in geographies. They're not thinking in their geographies. I know a ton of New Yorkers who have moved to Arizona. They didn't become different people. They
To
just started
Florida.
living different.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. Right. I mean, Florida is New York City too, right? Depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So
100%.
so in a lot of cases, they just become older New Yorkers. Right. I don't know very many that become Floridians. Right. So what that means is that it's not the geographical border that dictates human response. It's humans in their human response. And human response is predicated on time, place, and situation. If that same New Yorker that became a Floridian came back to New York City, they would say to you immediately, "Oh, I'm back in it. I'm back in the New York state of mind. I'm making New York decisions." It's a little bit of a placebo, right? I think to the question that you asked, it's really this is who you've always been. You changed location. The location didn't change who you were. The location might have changed the types of decisions you'd make, but it didn't change who you are. So that's why somebody in New York City can have the same decision framing that someone in Alaska has, or someone in Sioux City, Iowa, and that or in Plano, Texas. It's less about where these people are living, and it's more about the decisions they're making at their core. And you can find that, and that's the beauty of people. It's not locations that make people. It's people that make people. Have you ever had the experience, at least I have, that I've gone to somewhere and I'm like, man, these people feel exactly like me. Like, yeah, this feels like a place I could live. It's not because of the location. It's because of the people. And I hope that that makes sense, Gabe.
Yeah, 100%. I happened to me when I traveled to Istanbul in Turkey. I found all these people, Turkish people, very nice. Like, okay, man, I feel like I am in Colombia. They look so similar. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we are so similar in many ways. Of course, cultural differences and geographic differences could make sense in a specific type of studies, but overall the way that people respond in terms of the behaviors, they're mostly the same, 100%. Yeah. That's good.
No, Gabe, it means so much to have this conversation because I think we are as research professionals, right? When we are tasked with having conversation, 9 times out of 10, the difficulty in people being able to understand the connectivity of individuals is as simple as this. And Gabriel, please, from one professional to another, steal this and use it in every meeting from here. Human beings think very messy. We operate in this messy place called our mind. And then it's beautifully called together through our mouth, and that's a response. Through our phone or our finger, that's an action. That messiness is the same messiness that will bleed over into other cultures, into other locations, as you said. So as a Colombian, you can go to Istanbul and feel so much connectivity because some of the similar messiness in your and Gabriel's mind is in the great people in Istanbul that you came in contact with, right? It's less about like Turkey versus Colombia.
I love the way that you frame it. So let's talk about DARG, right? The render decision. So you describe DARG output as a render decision, not a report, right? So what does the person on the other side actually look at, and what do they do next? If you can explain to the audience that don't have a clue what DARG is, that would be great.
Yeah. So DARG is our product. Distinctly, spelled like Bitly, is our consulting group. However, we needed a product. We needed a product that could generate in an instant insights on research, insights on business markets and businesses in under an hour. Gabriel, these things in our world usually take days or they take weeks. Brand studies, brand trackers, all of these sentiment analyses, all of these things take weeks. Well, we were able to use an analytics. We were able to create an engine that gives you a playbook, a literal playbook. Hey, Gabriel, you are a barbershop owner in South Florida and you are looking to market. So here's what you need to do based on the area you are specifically in this part of South Florida. You need to target more. You need to target more young white guys who listen to DIY podcasts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you need to do it on TikTok. There are older black and brown males that will make up the older part of your demographic, and you'll find them on Facebook. then you should do Facebook Lives on Fridays and Sundays at 4 p.m. That is what you're getting out of a playbook. That is rendered decisions. Dashboards are here is your insight in a pie chart, a line graph, and a data table. So this is what I usually say. I'm going to share some data with you. Let's see if it changes your business, Gabriel. I'm going to share 9, -3, and the number and number 7. I just shared data with you as a data professional. It did nothing for your business. So that is why that is why we give you rendered decisions. We give you who people are, why they think the way they do, what you should do about it, what you should say, how you should say it, what you shouldn't say, and when you should say it and where you should do it. That is a rendered decision. It is a go-to-market playbook that if you read everything in this playbook that is in your email, do all of these things, you will get the result that you want. And that's what
That's
people want now. People don't want data. They have data. They don't want a dashboard. A dashboard is a slide in a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I used to sell big research studies. One study, I remember the biggest one that I sold was like a 3 million. And the time to completion was, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. And it requires a lot of effort, a lot of parts, moving parts, a lot of elements prone to break. And
100%.
and it broke
100%.
actually.
Oh,
So
but yeah.
yeah, but right now it's different, right? How long it takes for you to deliver those kind of results?
That's a great question. So because our system is 98% automated, 2% human, because we recognize as research professionals and professional data scientists and actual people who know how to code. So we're not vibe coders, as we say. So we are people who, just like you, we did big brand studies. Those studies take 6 to 8 weeks. They cost millions of dollars. They go, but you run the survey in China, Japan, Canada, uh, Australia, London, Ireland, the U.S., and Mexico. So you're going you submit an N sample of 28,000 people. You break that down against TV owners versus podcast watchers versus supermarket shoppers. Gabriel, you know all of it. I'm saying this to make you laugh. We now take those same premises and same principles and we put them on rails to a 45-minute delivery. So our framework gives us an output in 45 minutes and then it gives us as human beings the opportunity to take about 90 minutes to look at it, ensure that it makes sense because we're still human. We're not just giving people machine stuff. That's AI slop. We're not doing that. Our usual turnaround time to our clients is within 24 hours of the request.
That's great. Yeah, that's the kind of conversation that I want to have on this podcast. So basically identifying those signals that make people act and move and behave, that at the end of the day is what moves the needle. So yeah, you got a real big ranch here because of course you offer this to enterprise brands or the Oakland Food Desert Work or minority owned organization as well. I am also curious about this, founder to founder, the clients that turn out to be the best fit for you. How do they basically find their way to you? How you find these new clients and get this, movement of people? Hey, I want to apply more and use more this great tool.
Yeah. So for us, it's what I call our golden Rolodex. It was all the people we've met throughout all of the years who are like, oh wow, you built the thing that I need. And when I met you X years ago, or when I met you at X event, or when I listened to you speak on X podcast, I didn't realize it until I had a meeting. Gabriel, it's usually in the meeting where people have their holy cow moment with us, where they actually see like, oh, this is a real product and like you really built this thing. So for us, it's really the great connections and the great community that we tap into and tap from, and then also the content that we're putting out. Those are really those are really at this stage the two biggest. And we have taken on everybody from someone that would be considered a micro small business to really large enterprises that make products that you use every day.
Yeah, and the good thing is that they all them need data. I mean, more than data, they all need guidance and make sense of their own data and understand their consumers. So that's why I think having this conversation is great to connect those dots. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the future of marketing intelligence. Um, so you said AI is basically just automation and integration, not magic, not mythology. And I agree with that because sometimes we tend to, like I give some power and I don't think that you should have. So who is the marketer of the next 10 years and what's their relationship to behavioral data on your point of view?
Um, it's going to be it's going to be as a human construct. It's going to be the person that you work with that is always curious about people. They were formerly the person who Googled a ton when a question came up in the business and they were trying to write a brief or they were trying to figure out, they became a Googler. The new Googler is the new Chat GPT or the new Claude, the new Gemini, or right, the new Quenner, uh, those people. The new marketer is going to be a person who formerly would be in the research on the research team, or they would have been formerly on the data science team, or they would have been the person who was charged with planning in scenarios, whether because those are the skills you are going to need in order to be a new marketer in the new paradigm. The same way that for AI, you actually are going to have to know Python and SQL to really get through. Everybody talks about, oh, I can go vibe code. Sure, yeah, you can. That's a myth. You have to actually know SQL and you really have to know Python to be great now. And you know this, Gabriel. The new marketer. So if we take that, the new marketer is the person that really understands people and they are always thinking about people, then the data, not the old business way that we came up with and that we knew and made our and became super successful in, where data was everything. Now it's going to be decisions are everything. And the people who very much understand, like, what decision do we need to be making now? The person who can answer that question is the new marketer, Gabriel, just to give you that killer sentence, as we say it in our world, and the killer sentence for your killer question. The person who understands what the next decision that has to be made, that's the new market.
100%. I feel that is people like us, but younger, right? And because it's the curiosity, right? I mean the quester, the feeling that we need to find out what is next. This basically hungry of knowledge, and at the same time like an emotional connection with the consumers, right? Um, Curious to dig it a little bit more on that. What will tell a 25-year-old marketer to go learn right now that everyone else is ignoring?
So thank you, because I love this question. It is twofold. Um, Learn SQL. I know it sounds ridiculous. Learn SQL. Learn SQL because data is going to be so readily available. You're going to have to know how to get through it very quickly to be able to answer your questions at the speed that your mind is asking the question. So you have SQL will help you, learning SQL will help you to match your curiosity. And then read. I would tell a 25-year-old to read. And read wherever and however you want. Read on Kindle, read a book, read a white paper, read. Sign up for every newsletter that you can around the thing you're interested in. If it's driving monster trucks, if it's making pottery, sign up for every newsletter, sign up for every blog, every book that you can read on it. Learn, because if you have the understanding of being able to get to an answer very quickly through information, and you have context. That's why you should read everything. You're reading for context. Context is the greatest piece of knowledge you could ever have. Not just intelligence, but context. Smart people are smart because they understand context at all times. And if you can understand context and you can understand how to get to a decision faster, that combination is a combination that will make any 25-year-old the next leader of our free world.
I love it. I love that response. Right now, I am doing also small snippet of the podcast because sometimes it's hard to people, like listen 45 minutes and then I think this one just go directly. I love it. I told all my kids all the time, read, 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 and yeah, it's so important. I mean, it doesn't need to be the big novel. It's something that interests you, something that you like, something that you enjoy doing, and it changed completely your position and your experience around. And also very curious to hear that you mentioned in the era of vibe coding or coding is dead, let's go to learn SQL because I think it's also very important. It's the basic of a language that helps us to communicate with data and with computers, and it's not going away. I don't think so as well. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Well said, Gabriel.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about a little bit about the joy of work. So yeah, you have 23 years in from building data systems inside the big leagues to building your own from the scratch. So what's the thing that still basically gets you fired up? The problem you can wait to get your hands on every morning.
That the world still needs answers, and selfishly, I still need answers, and I don't think, and that's never going to go away from me. And I think you spoke to it earlier. You spoke to it when you talked about curiosity. Curiosity never goes away from me. I can't turn it off even if I go to sleep. There's always something I'm curious about at all times, whether it be like, oh wow, I did that faster today. How come I did it faster today versus yesterday? Oh yeah. Oh, well, the coffee at my local place I go to tastes a little different. Did this person wake up feeling happier today, or were they not rushing as much and maybe that's why the coffee tastes better? Like, so it's this, I know it sounds ridiculous. It's that level of curiosity that just never goes away from it. In anything in life, it doesn't. And that's the thing that wakes me up, and it's that curiosity to want to understand more and learn more. I think the curiosity and being a learner, those are the things that have never gone away from me, because they were the things that allowed me the success that I had in my career to get to this place. And that is going to be the thing that's going to continue to propel me forward. And, in sticking in line with the advice to a 25-year-old, just stay obsessively curious about everything. Don't ever lose that, because the minute you lose curiosity, you kind of are on a shelf life with life, because you're no longer dialing in to figure out why. Then to again to give the soundbite to for the podcast, what wakes me up every day is that there's a new why to answer. There's a new why to seek out. And that's always something that sticks out for me.
That's amazing, Darnell. I think that this has been a great, great conversation, and this finish is amazing. The framing you bring about decision architecture over demographics, the insight to decision gap, and this behavioral intelligence that actually renders decision instead of just describing the market. That's exactly what this show is about, and topping with the curiosity, right? That is the reason why. For example, I built this podcast and I have been working in market research because basically every day is a different learning. So that's great. Thank you for sharing. Where can people find you and Distinct LI if they want to connect?
Sure. It is we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn. You can go to our website. Our website is Distinctly, DISTINCTLYMKTG.com. Our product DARG is darg.ai. And on Twitter, you can find us just simply by finding me, Darnel, Darnel, middle initial J, last name Moore, Moore. If you search that way on all of the things, in all of the ways, you will find me, and you will find our brilliant tribe and our perspective that we always love to share.
Amazing. And that's a wrap on this one. Huge thanks to Darnel Moore for going this deep. If you ever sat in a room full of data and still couldn't figure out what to do next, I think this conversation hit different. If you got something of it, do me a favor, hit subscribe and drop a comment. So basically, we can keep in touch. We'll see you in the next episode of Signals and Insights. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Go Knicks!
Bye.